Okay, let's dive in. We are looking at something huge here, a real geopolitical earthquake.
Hmm.
It's it's not just making headlines, it feels like it's fundamentally reshaping things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just recently, you had Iran launching this wave of drones and missiles targeting Israeli military sites,
Hmm.
reportedly,
Hmm.
and then almost immediately that retaliation, Israeli airstrikes hitting deep inside Iran.
Swift and deep, yeah.
And this just isn't, another regional flare-up. It feels different. This is direct, open conflict between two major powers who've had this tension simmering for decades.
Decades, yeah.
So the big question, the one our sources are really digging into for us, is why now? What exactly pushed things over the edge right at this moment?
And that's really the core of what we're trying to unpack in this deep dive, isn't it? We're not just looking at headlines, we're digging into intelligence reports, diplomatic chatter, economic forecasts, trying to, understand the currents beneath the surface. So this deep dive, it's really about guiding you through these key sources, peeling back those layers to see what's really driving this, and frankly, why the whole world is kind of holding its breath right now.
Exactly. So our mission today is clear. Let's unpack these tensions, look at what's at stake globally, think about the possible ways this could go based on what our materials suggest, and really try to figure out what this means for you listening. We're drawing straight from the info we've been studying.
Okay.
So to really get why this is happening now, you really have to go back, right? Our sources lay out decades of this deep, deep animosity. It's not just about recent events. It's almost ideological, a clash of core strategies.
That's such a crucial point. I mean, anyone who follows the region knows about the hostility. That's not new. But what our sources really highlight is the specific thinking behind Iran's long-term backing of groups like Hezbollah or Hamas.
Right.
It's not just random support. The intelligence analysis we've seen shows how this proxy strategy shifted. It went from just projecting influence to becoming like a key part of their defense thinking, trying to deter a direct attack by creating problems elsewhere, multiple fronts.
And, well, it's definitely not just one side driving this, is it? Our materials show how Israel countered that. They have this doctrine, proactive defense, they call it, which sometimes means these really sensitive operations.
Very sensitive.
Things like the reported targeting of Iranian nuclear scientists or those sophisticated cyber attacks trying to mess with Iran's nuclear program. It's been this shadow war, bubbling just beneath the surface for years.
Which then brings us right back to that Urshan question.
Yeah.
Why blow up now? What actually broke that kind of uneasy balance?
Yeah, what changed?
Well, our sources point to a mix of things, almost like a perfect storm brewing. Obviously, the recent events in Gaza were an immediate spark.
A huge spark.
But beyond that, our sources are flagging these shifts in global focus, and importantly, internal political pressures inside both countries. That seems to have really changed how they calculate risk.
That's where it gets fascinating, isn't it? Like in Iran, you've got this upcoming hypothetical leadership transition period, maybe looming, and certain factions, the analysis suggests, are pushing for a tougher line, maybe to consolidate power, look strong.
Right, a show of strength internally.
And then you look at Israel, they're dealing with intense hypothetical debate over judicial reforms or maybe coalition pressures. And for some leaders there, taking decisive action might seem like a way to project resolve, keep things unified at home.
Exactly. And these domestic factors, which often get overlooked in the big picture, our sources stress how critical they are to understanding the timing of this escalation.
Absolutely critical.
And, this isn't just about Tehran and Jerusalem anymore, is it? The ripples are going global, the stakes are massive. It really shows how interconnected everything is, how quickly a regional fight can shake things up everywhere.
Definitely. Our economic projections, they really spell it out. If this keeps escalating, the immediate impacts are pretty stark. It's not just oil prices, though that's obviously a big one.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing people think of.
But think about shipping lanes, like the Strait of Hormuz, a major disruption there. It wouldn't just send energy markets spinning. It hits supply chains for everything, cars, electronics, you name it.
Yeah.
Creates these vulnerabilities we don't always see coming.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just the economy or the main players.
Yeah.
Our diplomatic sources, they show the U.S., the EU, working like mad behind the scenes trying to pour water on the flames.
You can imagine.
But their leverage, while it's there, it's facing real tests because the grievances run so deep on both sides. And then you've got the, let's call them the quiet watchers.
Like India and China.
Exactly. Big economies like India, China, their whole energy security, their economic stability depends heavily on stuff flowing freely through the Middle East. They might not be shouting from the rooftops, but believe me, their economic future is tied up in this. They are silent, but very, very significant stakeholders here.
Okay, so with all these moving parts, all this complexity, what happens next? I mean, our sources seem to break it down into maybe 3 possible paths forward right now. Each one looks pretty different.
Yeah, the first one, and maybe the one everyone's hoping for in the short term, is some kind of brokered ceasefire. De-escalation.
Okay.
Our materials suggest this would probably happen through back channels, quiet diplomacy, just aiming to stop the direct shooting. But the catch is, it usually means the underlying tensions just go back underground. You might still see proxy fights, covert stuff, just below that threshold of open war.
So a pause, but not necessarily peace.
Exactly. Then there's the second scenario, and honestly, this is the really worrying one detailed in the analyses. A full-blown regional war.
That sounds catastrophic.
It would be. We're not just talking Iran and Israel anymore. This could pull in neighbors Syria, Lebanon, maybe even Saudi Arabia gets drawn in somehow. The scale of that, our security assessments warn, would be unlike anything we've seen in modern times. The human cost, the economic cost, devastating.
Okay, that's grim. What's the third possibility?
The third one is what some sources are calling a cold pause. It's interesting. It means the direct military strikes stop, but it shifts to other forms of conflict.
Like what?
Like intense cyber attacks, maybe economic sabotage, a lot of information warfare, propaganda. It's warfare, but less visible.
Yeah.
Still highly disruptive, still designed to undermine the other side, constantly poking, testing boundaries, but without open fighting.
Wow. So still conflict, just different.
It's a stark reminder, really. As one source, a veteran diplomat who spent decades in the region, put it, and this really stuck with me, in the Middle East, the only constant is uncertainty, but the stakes have never felt higher.
That really hits home. It captures the weight of this moment. And, it brings us right back to that key question for everyone listening. How does this actually affect you? Because what our deep dive shows is that the impact of this Iran-Israel conflict, it goes way beyond the Middle East itself.
It really does. I mean, the fighting might be thousands of miles away, but the effects, they're much closer than you probably think. You'll notice it, when petrol prices bounce around.
Definitely feel it there.
You'll absolutely see it influencing the global stock market.
Yeah.
But maybe more fundamentally, you'll see its impact in how international alliances shift, how global political priorities change over the next months, the next few years.
So it's not just abstract geopolitics.
Not at all. This new reality in the Middle East, and our sources are pretty clear, it won't ever be quite the same again. It will show up in unexpected ways in daily life. So as these huge shifts happen, maybe the thing to think about is this. How will these changing power dynamics in the Middle East and globally eventually touch your own economic situation, maybe even the security picture for your own country? It's definitely a critical time to watch closely because the ripples from this, they will reach your shores,